we need to start making more conscious material choices.
Set up an initiative called Make Fashion Circular.
It's a tsunami of change.
Think about your most recent purchase. Maybe it was your lunch. Maybe it was a snack. Maybe you just ordered something off Amazon. And now think about the packaging that it came with. Where is that now? Well, chances are that the packaging has already made its way to the bin and that it will only ever be used once. If you look at this from a global perspective, there is a 1 in 3 chance that the packaging will end up in the environment. And that is in fact the reason why we have a global plastic pollution crisis. But there's hope, luckily. And today we will be talking to some of these hopes. These are innovators that are fundamentally rethinking our packaging from single-use to reuse. My name is Sarah, and I'm here with my co-host Annette. And welcome to the DIF, the Innovative Festival of Ideas. It's online, it's interactive, and I would like to encourage everyone to participate. Please type your questions into the commentary online. I'll be taking the questions along the way and actually posting them to the innovators. And with that, over to Annette.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And yeah, this session is about reuse. The, if you ask me, single most exciting topic right now within this nerdy world of plastic packaging, because reuse models are not only about eliminating plastic waste. This is really an area of opportunity, of business opportunities. And today we're going to dive into these business opportunities with 3 different innovators, looking at 3 different reuse models. So why don't we just get started with the first model, refill at home. And to do that, we have in the studio with us today, Jason.
Hi.
Founder and chief reuser from Replenish.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have
It's
you.
wonderful to be here.
Yes, and so we want to talk about refill at home and Replenish. And can you start with just explaining to us what is a refill model and what does the Replenish model look like?
Right. Well, at its fundamental core, it's about selling consumers really what they need. And I think that right now we're in this amazing era of embracing reusable business models. And then really essentially, what is that essential thing that the consumer needs? And that's really the product, right? So a refill at home model would work like this. So this would be a concentrate refill. So this would have the concentrated product. And then we would take this and combine it with in a case of a Replenish system, a reusable bottle here. So this would attach like this. And we turn the bottle upside down, and then there's a little measuring cup in here, so then we would be able to mix the concentrate at home. And so we would just dispense like this. So there we go. I have exactly what I need. It's actually, most of the products we buy are 90% water. So by changing this relationship and enabling the packaging to be able to be reused and build utility into it is really what is exciting about these refill models at home. We turn the bottle back over and then we just add water. And so the example of this concentrate refill, this might make 6 bottles, it could make 3. It depends on what really the brand or the retailer is looking to do. But it's an exciting, game-changing view of how we can reuse packaging and essentially sell consumers what they're looking for, which is great products, right? They don't necessarily need the waste, and in this case, they don't need the plastic. They want the fundamental product.
Carrying, I mean, we
That's
all
right.
know that carrying cleaning products, for example, from the supermarket
Right.
home, it's like a lot of water to carry around. Why would you do that if you could just
That's right.
buy that and have 6 bottles of cleaning
Well,
products?
that's fundamentally what we're saying. This is a bottle, right? Now we can actually start designing different packaging. So this would be a version of it in hand soap. Or you might look at what would it look like if it was a beverage, right? But fundamentally, this is the reusable part. And then now what we're doing, we're just shipping essentially the refill pods, right? So this is what the consumer is looking. But it's definitely a very exciting era and a new dawn, I think, in how we're designing products.
So that idea of like compacting the product, that's one aspect. Like the benefit of compacting the product to cut the cost of transportation, but also of packaging.
Right.
What other benefits are there of a refill at home model like Replenish?
Well, I think that this is where, you mentioned business models, right? Yeah. But if you go back to how we used to design products or that just civilization in general, we used to design things to last, right? Yeah. So we have to think about our resources. They're finite. They're not infinite. And I think that we're starting to see that. Wait a second. If we design better products that are more durable, that they're built to last, we can start building more relevant, deeper relationships with consumers. And I think that packaging single-handedly has the opportunity to be the highest return on investment that a brand could get, because they're seeing that this is an opportunity for me to stay in someone's home. This is an opportunity for me to develop a relationship and keep delivering really what the consumer wants, which is great products, a better experience, and reuse really enables you to do that.
So what you're saying is that you're actually turning it completely upside down
Right.
from what we know, right? Because normally, if this was a cleaning bottle, you know, that's something that I buy. It's annoying to carry. I
Right.
have it in my home and I throw it out as soon as it's empty.
Right.
And you're saying now I should actually possibly have it for life.
That's right, yeah. Or I should be able to decide that, wait a second, my favorite color might be yellow, so I might want to
So I want to have it for life.
Right, well, if we start building products to delight you,
Yeah.
then we have an opportunity to keep you as a customer. And I think that that's what reuse offers from a business model standpoint that's really exciting, as opposed to the previous 70 years that we've been in, which is let's just try to make it as cheap as we can,
Yeah.
and we'll throw it away.
Wait.
And then the customer will buy another
And
one.
now it's really the asset to create that relationship with
That's
me
right.
as your user.
That's right.
And I'm wondering, because I know you have been in this field for actually a long time, much longer than the Ellen MacArthur
right.
Foundation.
Yes.
So can you just tell us a bit about this journey? Because everyone is talking about plastic now, and everyone is
right.
looking into reuse and new innovation. But what was it like 5 years ago?
Well, I think that you think about the 3 Rs, right? How we fundamentally started
Yeah.
the move towards environmentalism and sustainability. It was reduce, reuse, and recycle. We just got so focused on the recycling part of it that the other 2 Rs we didn't think as much about. And I think now we're entering into this new era where, wait a second, that's actually the most powerful R of them all. We've had a lot of energy in recycling. Recycling is important, but it's never going to get us out of the waste streams that we're generating on a global level at all. So we have to fundamentally start thinking about those other 2 Rs. And reuse is the one that now we're seeing a tremendous amount of energy. And it's very early days, I think, right? But what's exciting is, what does it open up? What can you do from here? Adding the water at home is that one step. The compaction is one step to giving consumers convenience, giving them a better experience. But I think the future will start to open up all sorts of new possibilities that you'll get when you move into a concentrate refill model.
And what would that, for example, be?
Right, I think we hinted on it. Your favorite color is yellow, right?
It is.
So, you know, the ability to customize a bottle, you to be able to maybe take a picture of your family or if your favorite sports team, and actually being able to put that onto this bottle, onto a package, whether it's beverage, whether it's personal care. It's this idea of customization, right? What's important to you? How does your home look? Is your favorite color, again, yellow? What might it be?
But also
then,
content-wise, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It starts to enable this meaningful conversation. Right now, we talk about the energy of how can we get people to reuse. Well, we can do that when we start meeting individuals, consumers, where they want to be met, which is make things important to me. And then from there, the customization is huge, but then it's also about creating new products that I think have new levels of technical performance that weren't there before, and also abilities to make, you know, customization on the formulation level. Because if you think about right now, we have a very limited choice. What's the opportunity at the shelf? How many products can there be? There's only enough maybe rooms for 3 or 4 different versions of something.
This size, right?
Right, or a hand soap, or just in general, or any, you know, you may have 3 or 4 different fragrances, but the store can't carry them all. But if you start thinking about this new world where now you might have 50 different versions of a product, right? When you start enabling the concentrate to start to allow consumers to exercise that freedom and create better products. At the end of the day, that's really what it's about. You have to create better products.
And so the user, there's a clear use case for this, a clear benefit from the user. But how do we get the businesses on board? I mean, those that will sell these products, like, would you think that retailers would be interested in suddenly selling concentrates for cosmetic products and cleaning products
across the board? Well, I can personally say that, you know, we're at the intersection of these conversations right now at a global level. And there's amazing energy from the retail level, because they're seeing that to get the water out of products is one of the biggest opportunities they have to reshape their operations. Because at the end of the day, you have a limited amount of real estate, as a traditional retailer does. How can I make that more productive? How can I create savings? But then also, how can I create more room to sell products, to sell different brands that maybe before I had a limited amount of space. Now, in a concentrate model, I can increase my shelf space maybe by 75%, right? Or decrease it by 75% and still sell the same amount of products. So because, for example, if we were looking at this refill here, this is 3 bottles, but then if you're stacking it in a retail environment, this is 6, this is 9, this is 12. You get incredible compaction. So the retailers are understanding that. And then even from e-commerce now, that's one thing I think is changing the business models for brands, because shipping around water fundamentally
Makes no sense.
it makes no sense. It's a huge drag, you know, for something that retails for $3 and weighs 2 pounds to ship in the mail. And so I think that's making businesses have to take a step back and say, wait, what am I selling to consumers? And right now you're selling plastic and water in a lot of these products. But you start to change that and you can create a much deeper relationship that ultimately will be one of the highest ROIs you can do
So
in the
that's
business.
So if we were to summarize, replenish is not only cutting costs by actually taking out the water, it also enables a high degree of customization, if I'm right. And that's actually a perfect segue over to our next guest online, which is Brian Bauer. He is the founder and CEO of Algramo in Chile. Good day, Brian.
Hello.
No, Brian.
There he was. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure. So thank you so much. I'll just make a quick correction. I'm not the founder and CEO of Algramo. I work directly with him. I work in circular economy and alliances. So yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Could you explain to us how does Algramo really work? What is the fundamental mechanism here? And I think online, the audience will be able to actually see a flowchart of how Algramo works.
Okay, so what we're doing, what's really interesting and how we're supporting refill models is we're creating something that we call packaging as a wallet. So this is one of our bottles here. We're selling co-branded products with Unilever that get delivered to people's houses via Tricycle. So this packaging unit has RFID technology integrated into the packaging, which basically turns the bottle, the packaging, into a digital wallet. So that enables people to basically buy their product, the brand partners we're working with. So it's like co-branded products from Unilever and Algramo. Our next corporate partner is Nestle. We're going to be doing pet food with them. And the Algramo Unilever products we're currently working with are dish soap for washing dishes and liquid laundry detergent. And yeah, so what it does is we put value on the packaging and we enable the packaging to create opportunity and convenience so that people can buy products and just buy the products and not the packaging. And the wallet encourages the people to use the packaging over and over again. The brands are creating what we call a sustainable consumption credit. So that basically means when they buy a liter of the product, they get X amount of money put on the packaging that gets discounted on a future purchase. And we sell our products through vending machines, and the vending machines are connected to Internet of Things technology and RFID technology, so that as the product comes out of the dispenser and goes into the packaging as a wallet discounts the money or based on how much product comes out. So it's a really convenient, simple system. And we enable people, it's not just home delivery, but it's like home-based refill. So you can refill exactly how much you want, which is really critical for us too, because Algramo started to solve what we call the poverty tax. And the poverty tax is when you have low incomes and you buy in smaller portions, you typically pay substantially more for the product on a per unit basis. Often in Chile, it's about 40-50% more. So what we do is we enable people to buy the exact amount they want. You don't have to buy 3 liters, you could buy a half liter, and you pay the same per unit cost regardless of how much you buy.
So
Does
basically,
that your question?
So basically, users, they take the packaging to the store in the original model, and they refill the product, and they can buy as much as they want. And because they're not paying for the packaging, the price can be lower. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works. In the original model, we have 2 ways of doing it. We have vending machines, and we just also have a simple exchange system where the first time you buy the product, you pay for the packaging, and then you return the packaging and then you get a future discount.
Yep.
We can typically create about 30 to 40% discounts through our method. So that's really critical as well. People, in my opinion, there's some people that will use reusable packaging if it's just for environmental reasons. But for us, it's very important to bring in those economic benefits as well. So we're really proud to be able to lower the cost significantly and address those people that are, don't have the money to buy in large amounts and enable them to buy in small amounts at a fair, just price.
And yeah, that's really interesting. So going from that first model to the second model, I think we will be able to actually show a image of the tricycle that you talk about, because it's almost impossible to actually imagine in your mind. So you're saying you took your original system and put it on to a tricycle, and now people can actually purchase at their home?
Yeah, so it basically works kind of like Uber Eats. So it's like home delivery service. You can see it coming in real time. And we've just been piloting this with Unilever for the past 2 months, 2.5 months maybe now. We've got 8 or 9 more coming that will be on the streets of Santiago within about a month from now. We've got several other brands that are interested in getting tricycles as well. These tricycles are quite interesting too, because they can do home delivery at strategic times, but we can also park them in high profile strategic locations and promote El Gramo as a whole and promote the concept of reusable packaging, etc. So they create a lot of interesting opportunities.
Yes, certainly. So what has the response been for this upgraded model where you get the convenience of actually having the tricycle coming to you, or being closer at least?
The response has been much greater than we initially anticipated. And that's the key reason why Unilever's putting in more money so that we'll have more tricycles. We'll have 9 or 10 tricycles in about a month, as I just mentioned. And that will enable us to reach a lot more area. So the more tricycles we have and the more brand basically invests in the tricycles, the more exposure, the more geography they'll have, and the more people they'll be able to connect to this service. And yeah, we're really excited to be piloting this idea because it's never really been done before. And we're also really excited too that our tricycles are electric, because that puts sustainable energy into the distribution. And yeah. And
sounds so cool. It sounds so high tech.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Brian, just on the point about, you said packaging as a wallet. So you're integrating IoT technology into the dispensing system, into the packaging. I mean, what opportunities does that give also for businesses within this space of refilling?
One thing that's really interesting with that is that it basically enables us to go beyond packaging as needing to be the cheapest possible design for single use. And we can start to design our packaging to have higher quality resins and thicker plastic, so that the packaging can last for as long as possible. It also opens up the opportunity to go beyond plastic into other alternatives. And we're pretty agnostic as far as material type goes, but I do believe that plastic often performs the best from a life cycle assessment perspective. So it's really interesting that we can just play around with other types of packaging and use packaging types that can offer a better user experience and be designed to last for a really long time. Because I mean, the main problem with plastics is that they last too long. So why not turn that problem into a benefit? So that's what we're keen to do.
That sounds really cool. I mean, I'm so excited to see where El Gramo is going to be in the next 5 years. Do you have any idea about what it's going to look like in 5 years, just looking at your journey the past 10 years?
So what we're looking to do right now is we're taking this technology, these tricycles and the IoT dispensers on the back of them. We're also, I should mention too, that the dispensers on the back of the tricycle, they're very modular and Lego-like. So they're being designed to be able to be integrated into retail. We have one of Latin America's largest retailers keen to do a pilot with us fairly soon. Perhaps in a future episode, we'll be able to talk about it in more detail. And so what we're doing right now is basically building our technology, building our platform. And the plan is to develop that technology in Chile for the next 12 to 18 months. And then we're developing a franchising strategy so that we can plug this system into the supply chains of the global brands that we're working with, so we can move El Gramo into as many places as possible, as quickly as possible. So basically in a year and a half, 2 years from now, we're hoping to start expanding into quite a few new geographies. And our business model too is quite adaptable it can benefit a place like London, like a developed economy, or we can really create a lot of benefit and opportunity in emerging economies as well. So we're pretty excited to move into as many geographies as possible, as soon as possible.
That's actually, it's quite exciting because it's an added layer of circular economy thinking, even with this modularity. So you don't design a tricycle and then, you know, it has to stay like this forever. You can actually exchange the parts and reuse the tricycles or take the parts into the retail. I think that's actually, that's quite interesting.
Thank you so much, Brian. We need
thank you.
to move on. So now we talked about refill models. So these models where the packaging stays with the user, either to be refilled at home or refilled on the go, as with El Gramo case. But we also want to talk about return models, so packaging models where the user returns the packaging. And for that, we have Jeanette with us from Switzerland to talk about Recycle. Are you here, Jeanette?
Yes.
There you are.
Hello.
Great.
Great to see you. So, Jeanette, maybe just before we dive into Recycle, could you just explain us and all of us, what is a return on the go business model? And now the user, everyone watching will be able to see a picture of how a replenish model, for example, works. So could you just take us through that? How does this work?
Okay, it's really quite logical. You go to a takeaway, you choose a box, you borrow a box, like it's kind of a lunchbox as a service. You enjoy your food, then you bring it back to one of the partner restaurants, and where it's washed, and then it goes to again to another customer.
I mean, this is interesting, right? Because it's a fundamentally different idea about takeaway packaging, something that most of us use. Or
We even have some prototypes of your packaging actually in the studio. Thank you so much for sending that through. Yeah,
really cool. But Jeanette, so the idea is that all the restaurants that are participating in this scheme, they're using the same box, right? They have the shared design, so everyone uses the same one. Why
Exactly.
And why is that's like the key?
Yes, this makes it easy for the customer, like to return the box, to bring it back, because it's not branded, and it's so they don't have to go back to the same shop all the time. They can go wherever they want to go. It's almost like throwing away. It's really easy.
So you're creating a convenience for returning of packaging on the go. I mean, I think that's really, really cool. Can you just tell us a bit about this journey and where you are right now? Because I know that you've been within this game for a while, and I think on the screen we can have a picture of all the different spots that are right now selling recycled packaging.
Oh, well, I started like 3 years ago with 24 restaurants.
24?
Yes,
3 years
I really had to convince them to try this. We did a pilot project before, but this was really the start of Recycle. And today we have almost 1,000 restaurants.
1,000 in 3 years?
It's quite amazing because we visited you half a year ago, and there was at least only half, I think. Looking at the map just yesterday, I was like, what happened in just half a year? That's amazing.
Yes, it was a crazy year for us.
So what has happened? Why is this gaining popularity? What is the benefit for a user of this and for a business to participate in this?
Well, it's also a little bit thanks to Greta, I have to say. But for the restaurants, it is...
So that, just to clarify, so Greta Thunberg, who is striking for the environment, right?
Like we have had plenty of schools that changed their canteens into reuse. And if the young people, they speak about it, then the parents will hear it, and then they change their canteens as well. So I think this kind of stream helps reuse schemes. I'm sure that Brian and Jason will agree with me. And the other motivation is, of course, that it's cheaper for the restaurants to reuse, to use Recycle and join Recycle network than to buy single-use products.
And that's really interesting, right? So you're saying that for a business like a cafe or a restaurant who wants to sell takeaway food or wants to sell coffee, they can rent these cups from your business and still save money on the single-use packaging?
Yes, actually, they kind of rent it. They buy it and they can give it back for the same price. They pay a little submission fee, and with the submission fee, we renew the containers if they're used, and we pay the staff at the website, the communication, and everything. So for the restaurants, it's definitely a lot cheaper to reuse than to buy packaging for one single use.
Yeah. And in addition to that, and I think that's quite interesting, something that you've been saying as well, that then when you are on that map of all the other restaurants participating, I mean, you will have customers coming into your shop, right? Either to drop off packaging or maybe to buy something new. So it might also be a way to build a new relationship with the customers.
Definitely. Customers see that it's a recycling partner and they go there, or they even look at the map and choose to go there because they know that they can get a nice meal without waste.
And what about the user? So what's the benefit of the user for having this? And they need to pay a deposit, right? How do you incentivize them to do that?
Well, this is also a difficult part because the user, like the consumer, he has to hear it and see it a few times before he chooses to buy a box. And I think this is with the masses, the more of this purple, that's why the container is purple, the more of these containers are seen, the more people will use it. And once you have one, you never give it back, because it's nicer to eat out of a sturdy container than a single-use wobbly thing. You don't know where it's coming from. And you don't have the rubbish at home. And you don't have food waste because you can eat the rest. So there's only advantages.
And I think actually this point about having added benefits is quite interesting, because we have some questions online about the convenience. So, you know, single-use packaging is known for being extremely convenient, and that was how it was originally also promoted. But Derek online asks, you know, how do these innovators propose to tackle the inconvenience of reuse? For example, Brian, you want to talk to that?
Yeah, sure. That's a really good question. I think that goes into what I was saying too about looking at packaging from a different perspective. It doesn't have to be the cheapest possible type of packaging. You can get a little bit creative. It's fine if your packaging costs, I don't know, say 50 cents or $1 or something, instead of having to cost a few pennies, because it's going to have a really long life and be reused many times. So that's key, is like designing a packaging unit that provides some extra benefits, some improved user experience. And you can do that with reuse. You can't do it with single use because people don't want to pay $1 for a packaging unit that's going to be used once. But if you're going to use it hundreds of times over many years, then you know that's a really amazing opportunity for brands to be able to step into.
Yes.
Or in the case of replenish, right? There's a clear convenience benefit.
Yeah, and I think that's whether if you have one refill pod that might make 6 bottles or it might make 3 bottles, depending on however the brand likes to use it. But that's a really big convenience, because then I don't have to go back to the store or lug all of that bulk and that weight back home. And so just as easily as I go to the tap and fill up a glass of water, that's the same amount of work that I have to do to fill up a bottle that might last 3 months or 4 months, depending on how much you're using it. But at the end of the day, that's going to be more convenience inside of my home. I'm going to have to store less, and I'm going to be able to really enjoy what I'm trying to get, which is the product itself, and not having to just keep repurchasing it over and over again.
But I think it's also interesting finding that across all of these 3 cases, you're also talking about an economic incentive.
Yes.
So where convenience might be one driver of reuse, I think we should also really acknowledge that many of these cases that we're seeing can offer a price incentive.
That's right.
That might also make it work. So also in the case of Recycle, Jeanette, you said that some restaurants and cafes, they offer a discount if you bring back a reused box. So another incentive for the user, right, to reuse.
We have a question actually for Jeanette here. I think that's mainly targeted at you. So in your model, people are actually using each other's packaging. So you might be using a packaging that somebody else has been eating from. And it might be slightly off-putting, as Teresa writes. What do you think of that?
Well, if you go to a restaurant, you don't bring your own plate as well, no? I mean, it's also washed at the restaurant, and we designed the products that way that they can be really to 100% be washed. There is even 30% glass fiber in the plastic. That's why it's expensive. The cost is 10 francs, like 10 euro.
The deposit.
And then we guarantee that you can wash it 100%. There is no hidden corners with bacteria or something like that. We often have this question, but in a restaurant you don't ask if the plate is clean.
That's actually funny. It's just a different mind shift. Food to go and food to eat in. That you think of the packaging differently in a way. It's a very good point that in a restaurant you're eating from shared plates anyway.
And just one more thing, we have a lot of customers who hold on to their box and they just refill it. Yeah. That's also a possibility if you don't want to share your box.
Okay. So we're actually slightly running out of time, but just as a last question I want each of the innovators to actually answer this. Maybe we can start with you, Jason. What needs to change? And that's Phil online who's asking this question. What needs to change to make reusable packaging mainstream?
That's an excellent question. I think that if we start delivering products to consumers that are better, and reuse helps support that, it's not just going to the lowest common denominator or trying to make them just be just something that's just cheaper, right? But create better products where they can actually get more benefit from buying it in this form factor. That it does save them money if you look at the totality of the purchase. Then you're going to see mainstream consumers adopt that, and that's what's really important to see.
And Jeanette, what do you think needs to happen?
I think we need a little bit more time, and we have to create really good offers for reuse schemes.
Yes. Brian, what's your take on this? What needs to happen in order for Algramo to be everywhere in the world?
I think creating using technology to create convenience and simplify the process, and that coupled with cost savings are two critical factors. And then everyone's innovation, all the different innovators working together to create and use those technologies is what can create that really maximized convenience and cost savings.
Thank you so much. And Eddie, any last words?
No, I mean, I'm just so excited about this field, and I think these 3 different stories of 3 different ways of doing reuse really shows us that reuse is on the rise. Not only because it doesn't create waste and it's the inner loop of the circular economy, but also because it offers these business opportunities, be it in terms of optimizing the user experience, cutting cost, increasing the experience, or adapting to individual needs, using new technologies. It seems to be this field of opportunity that is really taking off right now. So just amazing to be on that journey.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, I would like to thank everyone at home who has been watching. Thank you so much for all the great comments and questions. I would like to thank all our innovators here, our 3 innovators, Jason, Jeanette, and Brian, who was from Replenish, from Algramo and Recycle. I would encourage everyone to check out their innovations. I would also encourage everyone to read more about these 3 innovators, as well as 66 other innovators, which we have actually gathered in this reuse book. So you can go online onto the Ellen MacArthur Foundation website and actually download this book. Furthermore, I would like to encourage everyone to keep tuning into the Diff throughout the rest of this week. There is a lot of exciting content going on, and thanks for now.
We need to start making more conscious material choices.
Set up an initiative called Make Fashion Circular.
It's a tsunami of change.